AskReddit by Wiltalik. What is seen as empowering, but really shouldn't be. Insisting that you are perfect just the way you are and anyone who says different is just a hater and shouldn't be listened to. Yes, haters exist, but if you are consistently hearing that you have problems from people around you, you need to do some introspection instead of cutting those people off for being negative or toxic. Also, perfect the way you are indicates a lack of willingness to grow. We should always be striving to be a better version of ourselves, even if it's only small changes. Being rude and aggressive. Exactly. People confuse aggression for assertiveness far too often. You can stand up for yourself and not be an asshole. Being a bully just to show your friends you're cool and can boss around other. Humiliating other to show you are above them is just pathetic. The grind for money. I work in a warehouse and everyone just brags about all the overtime they're working. One of the guys who has been there for 15 years told me we don't get paid well because the job is hard, we get paid well because it takes up most of our time. I have a friend who does this. We've known each other for a long time and I no longer hear, I work this many hours this week and have this much overtime. Now I hear, I've worked my 40 and spent this much extra time away from my family and things I love doing. Any kind of talks fall on deaf ears and we usually end up arguing about it. Often being empowered is put forward to veil selfish behaviors. Yes. Now you can be a selfish asshole and just say you're empowered and everyone is supposed to accept it. Doing things harmful to yourself or others is not being empowered. Buying courses from online business gurus. There's a guy on Instagram who used to do ads how just for today don't buy that $10 coffee, instead invest $10 into my system that is proven to help you generate job replacing income, and saying he's making 10 grand a day. Yeah, probably from selling people on your crock of shit. MLMs. You are not a small business owner if you have no say in branding, pricing, packaging, etc. These are predatory companies that sell the idea of empowerment through subpar products and practices. My university has job fairs, and I'm frustrated to say that vector marketing is there every single time. I'm a boss bitch in the male version, whatever that is. I'm an alpha male. Being a bitch asshole to everyone else. Edit. Example, I had a sister-in-law that would always say, I'm sorry, I'm just one of those people that if it comes up, it comes out, and I would always say, oh, so you have no filter for your mouth, isn't that just an excuse for being a bitch? To add to this one, refusing to ever apologize or admit wrongdoing. Mob mentality. Usually, the mob is emotionally stunted and without all of the facts. Mobs are self-reinforcing. You can never convince a mob it is wrong, because every individual within it is surrounded by people telling them they're right. I was physically and mentally tormented as a child by parents. I was bullied in school. I was so close to suicide many times. There are so many people who call me survivor and built character, etc. No, I'm not a survivor. The character that I built has PTSD, anxiety, lack of friends, no one to trust, etc. I don't want this character. I want a normal life. It also sucks when people who didn't grow up with shitty parents encourage you to make up with them if you're estranged because they're your parents. Why is it my responsibility to reach out and make amends with my abuser? I don't need to make amends. I'm better off without them being in my life. Being rude to customer service people to get your point across. If the point they're trying to make is I'm an entitled asshole who doesn't know how to treat other people like human beings, then bravo. I tell it like it is. I speak only facts. These people are usually toxic and make hurtful bad taste comments under the guise that they can't help it because they are honest to a fault. All cruel people describe themselves as paragons of frankness. Tennessee Williams. Taking a day off from work. That should be perfectly acceptable to do and normal, not a good for them situation. From what I've seen, the good for them reactions are less for taking the day off and more for not feeling bad about putting their own needs ahead of the profits is whatever boss company they worked for. So many people, at least in America, see taking the time they need to take care of themselves as a weakness because of our culture of hard work. Hearing a life coach. Many speak from a privileged perspective. Not only that, many distort, intentionally or not, their own circumstances that led them to where they may be in that moment. They probably weren't as bad off as they claim, didn't have as hard a climb as they say, and didn't have to climb as far as they will tell anyone within earshot. Sure, you can have a rough time of things, but not everyone starts on square one. Some people start on square -14. Doing things on your own, teamwork and accepting help is also great, and really not better than doing things all by yourself. Obviously there's a limit to this, but generally speaking, struggling doesn't always lead to growth and getting help doesn't always hinder it. Agree with the limit part. Sometimes there's things that I just wanna do by myself and having someone or multiple people around ruins my focus on that task. Plus if I know what I'm doing, I'm easily frustrated by someone looking over my shoulder and giving me their opinion on how they do it. Being a troll, practical joker for views. I'm such a troll. I go to internet spaces for thing and say that thing sucks. They get so trigger for the approximate 12 seconds before my post is removed. Hustle culture. Nothing wrong with trying to get ahead, but a person should be able to make a comfortable living from a steady job alone. I always used to cringe when my senior PM would say, "Oh, I'll finish this over the weekend," which he did constantly. But you are devaluing my work. And clearly you are doing the work of 1.5 people. Just chill. If it doesn't get done, it's because we need more manpower and you should have the balls to tell our boss that. Kids inappropriately showing themselves off on social media. No, you are not sexually liberated. You're 16. Maybe not empowering, but letting your job exploit you in my experience is seen as virtuous. I still struggle with this by working well over full-time hours, busting my ass the entire day and still trying to maintain good grades and a decent social life. Had a boss who was awesome, understanding, had my back, didn't take shit from upper management. But they were running him into the ground. He worked whenever they asked him if he felt he could, was chronically underpaid, and when I'd chastise him about letting them walk all over him, he would tell me he was proud of his reputation in the industry. He did have a good reputation, sure, but he could have easily maintained that while demanding fair remuneration. Telling young girls that showing off their bodies and dressing older is empowering. It's disgusting that some little girls don't feel pretty unless they are showing lots of skin. The idea women can do it all. Kids, jobs, house, relationship, load it on, and that makes us liberated. It's exhausting. I mean, sure we can. It's structuring the mindset, it's just great. Please no one yell at me. Had a lot of years of it and just felt tired, not liberated. At all. But we are superwomen. We can do anything. Men are so useless, lol. I can do my job and look after my kids and house. I couldn't trust my husband to cook anything, lol, girl power. Probably said by an exhausted woman somewhere, when close to setting the house on fire and committing herself to an asylum for a little rest. Someone with a disability who does something inspiring. For example, man in wheelchair stands up and dances with wife. It's called inspiration porn, the objectification of people with disabilities to make people feel good, and it's problematic. People with disabilities aren't looking to be seen as an inspiration. They are just living their lives. I'm going to offer some nuance to this. My whole job is to help people regain mobility that they lost. They make the goals, and I will work my hardest to help them get there in some version through physical therapy. And I've been there with someone when they take some steps after we've worked together for months, and you know what? It's awesome. I would never record them, but many of them do record themselves, and they are the ones who put it out on the internet because they are proud. I see no problem with this because internet land needs some cool things. The gross part is when a chumbucket site gets a hold of the story and then shapes it as some with a disability found someone who will marry them. The problem is when they disregard the person. Deleted. Being really aggressively independent. It's often a trauma response, and it leads to confirmation bias about being abandoned when you truly need help because you didn't ask for help. Independence is certainly a positive trait. That said, inability to ask for accept help is the detrimental side of that coin. Working 5,000 hours a week and giving shit to people who don't work themselves to death if they don't need to. Doing something the hard way, despite better, more ergonomic options being available. Flexible or unlimited time off. People take less time off when there isn't a specific number of banked vacation days and they need to be approved by one's manager anyway. It turns into take as many days off as you dare, and you don't get reimbursed for intakes vacation days when you leave the company. Getting upvoted on Reddit. I joined in 2021 and today is my first time here scrolling through questions and answering. Making people, often children, feel like shit online. Or eye roll.